Greetings, everybody. Rob here from Sage Tower Games, and I'm back with episode 3 of our 7-part series of how to run an adventure path. This episode is going to be talking about improv or improvisation. Now, let me clarify from the beginning. This does not mean like taking an improv class to improve your skills of like DMing or reacting on the fly, that kind of stuff, or increasing your actual role play chops, if you will. That's a really good idea, either for DM, for content creator, something that I'm also thinking about doing possibly whenever the pandemic kind of calms down. This is for something different. What I mean by this is you have an adventure path or some sort of campaign that's published, and it usually tells you, different situations that the party has to face. And it gives you a few different examples of how the party could either, go about the situation, maybe a stealthier approach or a more aggressive approach. And what you'll quickly learn is, as the book offers you options A, B, and C, there's a good chance that your party will likely choose E or like F. Like, they're going to probably find some oddball way to handle a situation that you may not be ready for. When this happens, what do you do? The first thing you need to do is don't panic. Don't freak out. Don't get super flustered over it. Go with it. Roll with it. A few things to know is, A, like I said, it's gonna happen probably. The books do not have all the answers to you, and sometimes they are going to not give you enough, information. They've gotten better in writing some of these adventure paths where they kind of give you details to at least help, height of ceilings, lighting, that kind of stuff. But there's gonna be a situation where you're not ready for. So this harkens a bit back to a few things. One, in episode 1 about knowledge, knowing the story. If it's a story element that your party has kind of gone off on, or maybe they want to investigate something that isn't clearly stated in the adventure path, what this NPC might do in this situation. Well, you might know the general idea for the story and know how those people may or may not react to that situation. You kind of have a general idea. You don't have to be a full-blown spreadsheet wizard and like map out every NPC's routes for the day and their feelings. But you can know, okay, this person probably, may be a blacksmith. Maybe they kind of just want to get by the living. Maybe they don't care about the political struggle in the capital. So if the party starts to drill them on what they feel like, maybe trying to get information out from them, maybe they just don't have anything. Or maybe they do. Maybe they came from the capital, so they know the blacksmith in the capital, so it kind of gives them a lead. If you can find some sort of connections or some sort of ways to redirect them in the generally correct path, or generally the path that you do have information on, you can do that. But don't just blatantly go, no, sorry, that doesn't. Don't make it obvious that you don't know the answer. You always hear the phrase "fake it till you make it" for other aspects, and here you kind of want to make it to feel like that the world is, it's an expansive world. You don't want to feel like your players have kind of hit that invisible wall where it's like, sorry, you can't go there. Likewise, with like dungeons, your party may find some way into the dungeon that the book does not tell you, or they may figure out a way to get, deal with an enemy that's not stated how to deal with them in the book. This is a bit where prep comes into it as play as well. And obviously there's a lot of D&D memes out there talking about DMs prepping, and some people that just, they wake up and like an hour before the session, they look at their notes and they're ready to go for it. Me, personally, I'm a prepper. I'm an analyst, so I have an analytical mind for most of my things. And I like to kind of prep stuff, either have notes or make sure I have every creature stat blocked, have the maps ready, make sure that I, at least know what's coming, what major NPCs, what major events, possible ways that my party might be able to do a situation, knowing what my party can do or like what they lean towards, and then kind of plan for that. If I know I have somebody in my party who likes to intimidate everybody they see, then you may think, okay, I have this major NPC. How are they gonna react if that party member intimidates them and fails or passes? What if your wizard has a spell that completely nullifies a fight? Some of that may be in the books, but some of it may not be. That's just the truth. The other good thing to note, and this is a good resource depending on what you're running. If you're running an older adventure path, one that's not brand new, look online. There's a good chance there's community forums, there's online threads, GM reference threads of people talking about, they have questions about the book. There could be possibly erratas to kind of help clarify what the book meant in some cases. And then there may be some examples in the threads of people just going like, hey guys, just letting you know, be careful in case your party casts Wall of Stone in this situation, because it may change this encounter completely. So that's a good resource for you as a GM to have, to kind of know what other people have gone through. So the main point here is don't panic. At least have some prep and have some knowledge of the situation beforehand. The more knowledgeable you are of the kind of the area, of the characters, of the world around, like where the party is going, the easier you can kind of come up with something. Or come up with, if your party goes like to a town and you have no idea, like some of these towns in these adventure paths, they give you the major locations, but they may not give you every NPC in the town. They may go, well, is there a temple of this deity in this town? And it may not be listed in the actual, like, here is the temple to Desna, here is the temple to Palo, whatever. But if you know the town's general history a little bit, you may suspect, if it's a mainstream deity that's pretty popular in that region, there's a good chance there probably is one. Go with it. Make up an NPC. Figure, okay, it's about X level, depending on the level of the town, what kind of spells they may be able to cast, and so forth. But you at least know what the town is. Or you could even mix it up. Say, maybe there's some taverns. Well, maybe it's a fishing town, so they might have some more like rougher dive bar type taverns near the docks, for instance. And they might have a few different taverns like more inland for like travelers that are a bit more moderate scale. And you come up with like seafaring type names for these taverns. But you at least know kind of the idea of the town, so that can help you with that idea. There are many different ways that you can handle coming up with things. The last thing I'm going to touch on about improv is to once again go back to combat situations, dungeons, and prepping and kind of knowing stuff. And what I mean by this is, There are some dungeons in Adventures of Paths that are pretty linear. You know, they go through this place, then they go through the stairs, and then they go through the next floor, and they fight the boss, what have you. You might find some dungeons that are like, well, that you can go into this castle, but there's like 4 different staircases that lead to 3 different floors, plus there's a basement, there's an attic, there's a trap door from the attic that goes all the way down to the basement, and there's like a chutes and ladders, like maze of ways they can go up and down. In that case, my biggest recommendation is prep, and you're gonna have to do a lot of prep. There's so many ways for your party to go that your party is gonna probably pick some way, and you want to be ready for it. At least have the map ready, at least have the character, at least have the creatures generally stat blocked, or have it available so you can pull out the stats if you need to. Because you may think, okay, my party usually follows, this one direction, kind of goes around and clears out a whole floor before they go up to the stairs. You think that, and the one moment you think that is when they choose not to do that. And then you go into a whole other section of the castle, and you may not have prepared yourself for those encounters. So, preparation goes a long way, in my opinion. And having that good foundation of knowledge that we talked about in episode 1, plus preparation to kind of knowing what's going on, making sure you're prepared for the session, will allow you to be more easily able to improv or come up with solutions on the fly. Note, this is very important, and I'll kind of end on this note. I am not specifically mentioning rules or rule classifications. Those sometimes are going to come up. Not sometimes, they probably will. You don't have to be a rules guru. You don't have to know every rule in the book. There's a lot of them. Some people do. That's fine. More power to them. There's no need to. You have books. I mean, let's be honest. Do you really need to know the underwater combat rules? How many times does that really show up in a session? Do you need to know the rules for like traveling by boats? Rules for flying until your party knows how to fly? Stuff like that. In all different situations. This is the way I handle this, and this is why I'm putting it in the improv section. If a rules clarification comes up, obviously the general consensus is kind of like, sort it out. Maybe lean on the side of rule of cool. If it's something that the player wants to do and it makes sense and it might be a cool thing, let them do it. The way I rule this is, I'll look at it. If I can quickly find the answer, I will. But if it's going to take a bit more digging and I don't really know, it's not like that super quick of an answer. If it's not that major of a decision, then I'll let them do it, or I'll just improv or kind of figure out a quick thing based on the situation, the spell, whatever have you, and go with that. Make my own home rule about that situation. The only time I would ever full stop the thing is if it's a major incident. If it's something that's gonna like make or break a major encounter. A spell that if the spell hits, it completely nullifies the boss, or if it hits the players, it could kill half the party. Those you may want to clarify and kind of know exactly how they work. So, on that note, thank you guys for watching this episode. I kind of bounced around on different ways to improv and different ideas of how to make sure that you're ready when your party goes completely to the left field. So, next episode we'll be talking about balancing. This is primarily around balancing encounters, balancing the different enemies, and all this kind of how to make it work for your party. So I hope you guys are enjoying the 7-part series. Thank you for watching, and I'll see everybody in my next episode.